1968 was a year like none before it and none since. American casualties mounted as a result of the war in Vietnam, demonstrations racked the country, and two great leaders in the struggle to end racial divisions in America lost their lives to assassins' bullets. As Lance Marrow of Time magazine wrote, 1968 was a year of change. It was a knife blade that severed past from future, then from now, and the knife blade undoubtedly came down at Middle Tennessee State University. This change was brought about by a young MTSU student by the name of Sylvester Brooks. Sylvester Brooks was one of the university's few African American students, and he was very much aware of one of the key issues of that year. The Kerner Report, which was released in March, claimed that America was moving towards two societies, one black, one white, separate and unequal. Brooks wrote an article for Sidelines, the school newspaper, entitled The American Negro, which addressed this issue in the context of the Vietnam War. In it he asked, "If Americans can fight and die together, then my God, when they come home, why can't they live together?" Brooks, like many others, hoped that civil rights leaders like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. would bring an end to the racial divisions that plagued America. In 1964, Lyndon Johnson had signed the Civil Rights Act, which outlawed discrimination based on sex and race, as a result of Dr. King's efforts. As Dr. King continued to struggle against racial injustice, he provided hope that one day the racial gap would be no more. But on April 4th, 1968, such hopes were dashed as Martin Luther King lay dead at the hands of an assassin in Memphis, Tennessee. Upon learning of King's death in his hometown, Brooks immediately rushed to Memphis to find that it was one of over 100 American cities overrun by heavy rioting.
I'm just a poor, wayfaring stranger, traveling through this world of woe. Yet there's no sickness, toil or danger in that bright world to which I go.
The next day, Brooks participated in a memorial march through Memphis to the Mason Temple.
And it was just a huge number of people. I was among them, and I jumped, and as far as I could see ahead of me were nothing but people.
Brooks, like many other Americans, found a new leader in Senator Robert Kennedy, who sought the Democratic presidential nomination. Many felt that Kennedy was the last great chance to end the racial divisions in America. Kennedy came to Nashville in March to deliver a speech at Vanderbilt University. Brooks was in attendance and later wrote in Sidelines, "This country is on the brink of a newer world. It is up to America
to determine whether or not it is to be a better world. It is essential that we have leaders of courage, foresight, and conviction. Such a man is Robert Kennedy. He seeks the presidential nomination in behalf of the American people who desire unity in their country and peace in the world."
It seemed as if his ascension to the presidency was inevitable following his victory in the California primary election on June 5th, 1968.
And that what has been going on within the United States over the period of the last 3 years, the divisions, the violence, the disenchantment with our society, the divisions, whether it's between blacks and whites, between the poor and the more affluent, or between age groups, or in the war in Vietnam, that we can start to work together. We are a great country, and a selfish country, and a compassionate country. And I intend to make that my basis for running and over the period of time. My thanks to all of you, and now it's on to Chicago, and let's win there.
I'm going there to meet my father. I'm going there, no more to roam.
Another great leader in the struggle to end the racial divisions in America lied dead at the hands of an assassin as 1968 pressed on. School resumed that fall. MTSU students hit the books hard and went to the newly constructed University Center to enjoy their free time. Whether it be eating in the spacious cafeteria or enjoying a wide range of recreational activities, the University Center had a lot to offer with regards to student activities. The fall semester meant a new season of college football, and the Blue Raiders had an exceptional quarterback named Dickie Thomas. On September 26th in a game against Moorhead, Thomas completed a pass to Herbert Patterson for a touchdown to bring the Raiders up 21-6 over Moorhead. The band in blue struck up the tune Dixie, while the MTSU mascot, the Raider, rode down the sidelines waving his Confederate flag.
I was just taken aback by this because everything in my experience relative to that flag, and even today, I associated with racism, with deprivation.
In a year when the effort to eliminate the racial divisions that threatened to fragment America lost two of its greatest leaders, Sylvester Brooks could see that the racial divide was as wide as ever at MTSU. In response, Brooks wrote an article that appeared in Sidelines on October 21st, entitled Dixie, What Does It Mean? The article challenged the university's use of Confederate symbols and shook MTSU to its foundations. In it, he asked,
Why is it you wave your Confederate flags? Why is it you sing your song Dixie? Why do you pay homage to General Nathan Bedford Forrest? All these things are remnants of a very old South and have no meaningful place in the new South that so many people are working so hard for. Does it bother you that the rebel flag represents utter and unmerciful contempt of the basic human dignity of black people? Are you proud of your school's mascot, General Nathan Bedford Forrest, the man who founded the Ku Klux Klan, the man who killed captured black soldiers fighting for the Union, and the man who marched into Fort Pillow in West Tennessee and murdered 250 black men, women, and children? But black students have just as much right to feel a part of this campus as anyone else. And if Dixie, the Confederate flag, and General Forrest are hindrances toward that end, then they should be banned and abolished. Black Americans are not fighting and dying in Vietnam to be subjected to the symbols of bigotry and human degradation at home. I, as a black person, am tired of the American dream being cheated by the traditionalists, the conservatives, pseudo-patriots, and by those indifferent to the cares and frustrations of their fellows. To create a newer world based on understanding, we must make the effort today.
It was true that Confederate symbols could be seen all around MTSU's campus. Even the newly constructed University Center displayed a plaque of a Confederate soldier proudly astride his horse. It was generally accepted that this raider was General Nathan Bedford Forrest. The response to Brooks' article was immediate and came in the form of letters published in Sidelines and sent directly to Brooks from students, faculty, and even alumni expressing their views on the university's use of Confederate symbols.
Minority rights should be respected, but Mr. Brooks is using the pretense of minority rights to try to dictate to and oppress the majority. Bobby Sands.
Confederate flags are symbols of a government which took pride in enslaving human beings. I am tired of being constantly reminded of shameful and immoral governments, and I join Sylvester in calling for the abolition of these racist symbols. Sincerely, Bobby Lynch.
I have only one more thing to say to you, Mr. Brooks. That is that I hope that everyone on this campus does not take the attitude which you have taken by choosing never to be a full part of the school until everything here is arranged to suit you. That is what I call childlike. Beverly Barnes.
We must strike down all the symbols of slavery. There is not room for even one. James Doyle Trigg.
While attending a Blue Raider Club meeting at the old Student Union building last Monday, I saw a copy of the October 21st Sidelines. I have a suggestion concerning Dixie. What does it mean? If you people can't find anything else to fill in the space, why not leave it blank? Very truly yours, Tom Cannon, class of 1950.
Brooks' comments are timely, relevant, and courageous. Every member of this university community should weigh the nuances of these comments within their own hearts. In this troubled age of violence, racism, fear, and bigotry, it's almost incredible that such a note of hope is sung by a Negro. James K. Huda, Assistant Professor, History.
If more people would use their intelligence and ability to inform the blind in a tactful manner as you displayed, I'm sure more good accomplishments would be made. Sincerely, Charlotte Backler.
The Klan is not a bunch of bigots, as you put it, but a bunch of proud Americans that is going to put a stop to this black upsurge at any minute. We know how to handle people like you and your kind of filth, as we have proved in the past. A true Klansman.
Shrelise Wheeler was a student at MTSU in 1968 and recalls the controversy that arose following the publication of Brooks' article.
So the controversy was on whether or not it was derogatory or not, whether it hurt, whether it was offensive to some groups of people, whether it hurt the name of the university. And the other side of it was Forrest was a major strategist in the military, and is the ROTC building, I think it's still named Forrest, is it Forrest Hall, Forrest, whatever, because of his strategies. And my understanding is that a lot of the strategies that he used and developed are still taught in our military today. So, you know, it was to an extent a racial issue, but those that I talked with and discussed it with at the time did not see it as being a derogatory issue, but, you know.
Prompted by this controversy, the Associated Student Body committed itself towards improving race relations on campus, and by December both the Senate and the House of Representatives had passed similar bills to remove General Nathan Bedford Forrest as the school symbol and mascot. By the end of 1968, no one piece of legislation passed through both chambers to put an end to the university's use of Confederate symbols. Nonetheless, Brooks' article brought attention to race relations at MTSU and began a long, difficult process that continued for many years to come. In 1968, Sylvester Brooks began a movement that changed MTSU forever. By 1978, 10 years after Brooks wrote the Dixie article, a new character became synonymous with the Raider, and the call letters MTSU became the new school symbol. By the end of 1989, the plaque depicting the Raider was removed from the wall of the Keithley University Center and sent to Forest State Park in Benton County, Tennessee, never to be seen at MTSU again. In 2006, several students moved to change the name of Forest Hall, the ROTC building that bears the name of the Confederate general. The Daily News Journal reported on this matter, claiming, "It is undeniable that the spirit of Brooks still seems to have some presence on campus." 1968 ignited the fire of progress at MTSU, and was indeed a year that severed the past from the future. That year began a fundamental cultural shift at MTSU, the effects of which can still be seen today. Undoubtedly, Middle Tennessee State University was a strong illustration of Bob Dylan's theme song for 1968, "The Times They Are A-Changin'."